Could you tell me a little bit about how you got involved with AIESEC and some of the advantages of being a member so far? You were saying that you've already been abroad twice.
Yeah. So I got involved in AIESEC my very first semester at Georgia Tech. Unlike most people, I simply searched international organization on the Georgia Tech website, came across AIESEC, sounded cool. I read about the mission, the vision, and I really felt very strongly about it. AIESEC seeks to the mission of AIESEC is peace and the fulfillment of humankind's potential, and so that's something I feel very strongly about personally, and so I wanted to become involved in the organization. So I interviewed, applied, was accepted, and since then I've really become very involved. Last year I was vice president of talent management, so I managed our membership. I did recruitment in part, and I helped other students to really to experience the full. To get the full AIESEC experience. So through AIESEC, I had been to 2 international conferences. Last year I went to the Ibero-America Leadership Conference in Guatemala City, and this year I went to the European Exchange Conference in Istanbul. And so those are absolutely fantastic opportunities. One of the advantages of being a member and going to these conferences is really gaining a global network. So for example, in Istanbul, there were 52 countries represented, so I know people from 52 countries. I have contacts, I have friends. And I was able to have that fantastic experience because of being a member in AIESEC. And I also plan on doing an internship next spring.
Where? Do you know where?
No idea, anywhere.
Would that help you when you go into the job market, knowing all these people, having all this experience abroad?
Absolutely. One of the things that Georgia Tech really promotes, and I think is a trend nationally and internationally, is the importance of international education, international experience when you're entering the work field. Companies really value that experience. They value your cultural understanding. They understand the importance in a globalizing world of having that experience, of having a very broad education, not only in your courses but also in the things you do outside. So working not only domestically but internationally gives you a huge edge.
Had you been abroad before you came to Tech? What sparked your interest? I guess that's what I'm getting at.
So I had only been on vacation to Costa Rica, loved it. I always knew I was interested in other countries. One of my inspirations was my mom, who spent 2 years in Sierra Leone. And so I've always had this interest in international experience, this interest in seeing the world and seeing other cultures, but I hadn't had the opportunities until I joined AIESEC, until I came to Georgia Tech. And so that's been one of the best things for me.
What did your mom do in Sierra Leone?
She was working in fisheries and wildlife development, so she was working with just an international group.
Do most of the colleges in Georgia have AIESEC chapters, or is that something that still needs to be developed?
So AIESEC is present in 36 universities around the country. We're constantly expanding. Right now in Georgia, we have a chapter at the University of Georgia and at Georgia Tech. We also have expansion initiatives at AUC and at Georgia State.
If colleges want to start a chapter, should they contact? Who's the best person to contact?
So that depends on the location. If there's a local AIESEC chapter nearby, for example, AUC and Georgia State are both in Atlanta, and so they work with us directly. We're the partner local committee. If they're, for example, in Florida, if they're in Maine, a country or a state that we don't have AIESEC, then they would work with the national staff, and we have a specific process for integrating them into the AIESEC United States community. And they would have a partner local committee, which may not be close geographically, but that would work with them and help them to understand AIESEC and to really start it at their university.
Do you think there's a need for more? Because 36 for the entire United States doesn't seem like a lot. Yeah.
Yes, I absolutely think that we need to expand. At one point, the United States had about 60 chapters, and I would hope to see that number grow from 36 in the near future. AIESEC United States is in a huge growth period, and part of that is expansions. We do want to solidify and really strengthen the current chapters we have now, but we are looking to expand because obviously this is something that students are very interested. This is a great opportunities that AIESEC provides, both through work abroad, through leadership professional development. And I do see the United States expanding chapters in the near future. We have 50 states and 36 chapters. That's not.
You don't even have one per state.
Yeah, exactly.
You were saying earlier that you can, in many cases, get the university to help pay for your travel abroad to conferences, etc. Is that a benefit that you don't have to pay all the money by yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. Georgia Tech does an excellent job of supporting AIESEC. We do receive financial aid for traveling abroad, for conferences specifically. And also, for example, Global Village was entirely sponsored by student government and auxiliary services. And so we really appreciate that support for campus events, and also for our members to go to international conferences to increase our network so that we can provide more and better opportunities to Georgia Tech students.